Digimon Story Time Stranger has a pretty good roster of 451 Digimon initially, expanded to 459 by the Black Agumon and Black Gabumon evolution lines from the pre-order bonus, and you can just buy it on the storefronts too. Plus an upcoming season pass will add 15 Mega Digimon to the game, bringing our total to 475 Digimon. Not terrible. However, whether because they were in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's memory or because of data mined content, it actually seems that a lot more Digimon almost made it into Digimon Story Time Stranger, but unfortunately were either cut for development timing reasons, were only really there as holdovers from Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's memory, or other reasons. So on today's video, I'm going to be looking at the data mined list of apparently removed or cut Digimon from Digimon Story Time Stranger, discussing what they mean and whether we might actually see any of them in the game in future. What is up, digital companions? My name is Karn EX and welcome back to another video. If it's not welcome back, please do hit that subscribe button. We are trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. It would be incredible. And if you're on mobile, please hype this video. But I also want to give a huge shout out to, once again, today's sponsor, Berserk B.I.T.S.
Long ago, the fate of cyberspace rested on this device. Now it rests on your desktop.
Berserk B.I.T.S is a net hacking auto battler launching November 20th. That's tomorrow if you're watching this video the day it goes out. But there is also a demo out on Steam for you to check out. Berserk B.I.T.S have been an amazing supporter of this channel. So excited to see them go from Steam Next Fest to full launch. It's a Digimon Mega Man hyperfixation love child game that sits on your desktop. You're the net detective in Berserk B.I.T.S, an idle RPG auto battler chip collecting game that runs on your desktop. Let your bits do battle and collect items, collect rare chips, and build your deck. Customize and level up to take down intense virus bosses as you unravel the mysteries behind the attacks on the net. It's an idle RPG auto battler that just sits on the bottom of your screen. Find the perfect battle chips and train your bit to battle. With multiple playable bits and the ability to import your own sprite sheets and create your own characters. So yes, Digimon mods are possible and in fact already exist for this game, which is awesome. Make sure you go join the Berserk B.I.T.S Discord in the link on screen or in the description down below to give them your feedback on the game, which they very much welcome, chat about it, and if you have feature suggestions, maybe get them in the game. So yeah, if you're watching this video on the 19th, the game is out tomorrow. If you're watching it on the 20th, it's already out. And there is that demo you can check out too, so thank you to Berserk B.I.T.S for sponsoring this video. So yes, this video is possible thanks to a post by Any Permission 958, although I have also ran it by other modders and data miners in the Digimon community, such as Zeke, who have confirmed this post. And it goes over a list of attacks that are still in the data of Time Stranger that indicate Digimon that at one time or another were present in the game files, but didn't make it to be fully fleshed out Digimon yet. Because that's the thing, some of the Digimon on this list are Digimon that are going to be in the DLC. We have basically complete confirmation of this. If you missed my video on the upcoming DLC waves and what Digimon are very likely to be in them, you can go check out this video. There is a card on screen right now. However, there's a lot more moves in the game which don't line up in any way to this established paradigm I've talked about a bunch of 5 Mega Digimon being added to existing evolution routes. We start the list with things like Acid Bubbles and Hop Attack belonging to Chikomon or Chibimon, or as you might know it, Demi-Vmon. It would make a ton of sense for Vmon pre-evolutions to be in this game, but I think if you give specifically Vmon its own 0-2 pre-evolutions, it just feels like a bit of a weird outlier when Hawkmon, Armadillomon, Wormmon, etc. don't have theirs. Then we have a set of Digimon which I think are a big missed opportunity for this game, and that is Tsukuyomon's Miko mode, Kuzuhamon's Miko mode, and Volt Bautamon. I think these are particularly disappointing omissions because they could so easily tie in to Digimon Survive. Tsukuyomon's Miko mode or Maid mode was in Digimon Survive, and while Kuzuhamon's Miko mode wasn't, super easy if you're going to add one Miko mode to add the other, especially as Tsukuyomon and Kuzuhamon are both in the base game of Time Stranger. I won't say exactly how it manifests, but Volt Bautmon, Volto Bautamon, whatever you want to call it, was also a pretty prominent Digimon in Survive in the same way that Digimon like Ceresmon Medium and Plutomon also were. So its omission from this game feels a little bit disappointing, especially when we do have a few instances in this game of Mega and Ultimate Digimon DNA Digivolving like Craniamon and Embarmon. I feel like seeing Myotismon and Piedmon, who were already in the game, be able to get this DNA Digivolution would have been a no-brainer. Kokatorimon and Akatorimon were cut from the game, game. There's already a lot of bird Digimon, so I get this, though it would have been nice to have Parrotmon Digivolve from them. Maybe even have Akatorimon lead into Medieval Gallantmon as a bit of a Digimon Liberator nod. Hookmon is apparently cut from this game, which is so disappointing. As far as I know, nothing indicates that Monmon, aka Koemon, is in this Datamine, so it maybe was never planned for this game, which sucks even more given that Bearmon and Kotemon are in the game. However, the fact that Hookmon was here, probably more intentionally tied to like the Abyss area evolutions, you know, like Sharkmon and stuff like that. However, we came so close to Monmon in this game and we still didn't get it. Of course, Hookmon being a Monmon evolution in Digimon World 3. Then some other random Digimon, we almost had Evilmon, aka Vilemon for you dub watchers, Mermaimon, which also was in Digimon Survive and in fact evolved from Shellmon. I think that would have been an easy inclusion, and again, kind of disappointing because it was in Survive. Algomon Adult and Ultimate, and I feel like that maybe would have indicated that the entire Algomon line would have been here. That would have been so good. Algomon's name comes from algorithm and Argos from Greek myth. Really should have been an addition here. Mephismon, Golfmon, Lylemon, and Liamon. I've talked about Lylemon and Liamon in my DLC video, but Mephismon and Golfmon, again, I think this game is just so heavily lent towards virus-type Digimon. Maybe that's why they didn't make the cut, but it would have been great to see them, especially because Mephismon and Golfmon do have some connection to Digimon Tamers. And Asuramon was almost in this game, which again, maybe wouldn't have fit super hard, although I do think at some point Asuramon could make sense, kind of like tangentially related to Shambhala. Admittedly, of course, Asuramon and its Fire Fist of Shiva are more connected to Indian mythology. I love an Indian digital world, actually. But then are some much more disappointing exclusions. The first of those appears to be that a bunch more armor Digimon were going to be in the game, with moves for Sagittariumon, Bullmon, Kotalmon, Lynxmon, Bitmon, Swanmon, Opossumon, Boarmon, Sheepmon, and Prairiemon all in the game, apparently according to this Datamine. And the thing that extra sucks about that is that a few of these are kindness armor Digivolutions, like I talked about in my previous video. I do think, while it's amazing that we got all of the Adventure 02 armors in the game, apart from Buchimon, which technically wasn't in 02, but is kind of the closest to being in 02 itself, but now also thanks to Digimon Adventure Beyond, we have seen the 02 kids interact with these armors, so it would have been fantastic to see. Kind of weird actually that Buchimon isn't on this list apparently, although maybe it is and they just haven't data-mined it. Another one that's going to disappoint a lot of people is the omission of Ragglemon and Ophanimon Fall Down Mode. This is another one that I talked about in my last video. I think Ragglemon and Ophanimon Fall Down Mode would have been easy inclusions in this game, and while it's not on this data-mined list, it would also have led to them becoming Ordinaemon, just like in Digimon Tri. That's a big shame. For me, a personal massive disappointment, though I do kind of get it, is that Dominimon's move, Final Excalibur, is also on this list. There has been a great resurgence of V-Tamer Digimon locked to V-Tamer jail in recent years, and in fact Calismon is in the game. It looks like Parallelmon is going to be in the DLC. To have had Dominimon, the alternate Angemon Mega in this game, would have been fantastic, but ultimately I don't know what purpose it would have served. How much different would it have been from Seraphimon? Could it have been in the story? Could it have been at Junomon's temple? Maybe, but honestly I don't care how useful a Digimon is. I just want to see Dominimon in 3D. It's also disappointing to see the Ancient Greymon and Ancient Garurumon cut from this game. Again, there is a small chance these become some sort of DLC in future, but given that we do have the Fire and Light Spirits already and Ancient Wisemon, Ancient Greymon and Ancient Garurumon would have been great too. However, here's some real kickers. Systemon Blanc Awakened, Systemon Noir Awakened, and Hoodymon were all in the code of the game. Ah, man. Listen, I understand, okay? The Systemon are in a very tough space. The censorship that happened during Cyber Sleuth's run, meaning that Systemon Noir became Systemon CL, is causing endless problems to the franchise. The TCG having to make every Noir card become a CL card, but yet CL is a Digimon in her own right. She shows up in Digimon Ghost Game. I just don't think anyone actually cares enough about Noir being a nun with guns for this censorship to make any sense. Even if you have to keep it going because you've committed now because of the TCG, would it have been that hard to include the Systemon and include Systemon CL in like just America or just the English language version of the game? Disappointing, especially because the Royal Knights are still in this game. You know, Jesmon's whole connection to the Systemon could still be here. But Hoodymon is also very disappointing. I will dance around it spoiler-wise. I just want to talk about the roster here, not really the story of the game. But I sort of get, based on a couple of side quests suggests why Hoodymon might not make some chronological sense to the story of Time Stranger, and that's fine. That said, I do not think it being a recruitable Digimon matters at all. I see a lot of people insist that, oh well, Hoodymon's lore is so integral to Hoodie in Hacker's Memory that it doesn't make any sense to include it outside of that game, which I just like fundamentally disagree with. Hoodymon, first of all, has showed up in like the TCG now, admittedly in a Hacker's Memory set, and the Vital Bracelet and stuff like that, but also we have a ton of Digimon that are used across the franchise whose origin is in a very specific piece of media, like Hoodymon, named after Hoodie from Hacker's Memory, right? That's why it's so crazy. Except we have Neo Devimon, which gets used in a ton of stuff, and you know where Neo Devimon gets its name from? Neo Cyber from V-Tamer. He literally created that Devimon variant or evolution. Callismon also has lore intrinsically tied to Neo Cyber. There are tons of instances like this across the franchise. Omnimon Merciful Mode only exists because all of the crests in Adventure came together to make it. So is Merciful Mode existing out of the Adventure continuity a problem? Of course it's not. Like I say, there is that slight chronological issue which I could explain Hoodymon not being in the game. However, we also have instances in the game where like the Royal Knights are characters, but we can also recruit the Royal Knights, or certain characters show up as parallel universe versions of characters we know. Only in side quests, nothing major to the plot. So it would not be a stretch to just say, well, this Hoodymon that, you know, my Wormmon evolves into is from a parallel dimension, you know? Or its data seeped in through the outer dungeons or something like that. This Datamine list of moves, though, and this is good news, also includes the Digimon that we're pretty sure are going to be in the DLC. Omnimon X, Magnamon X, Ulforce Futuramon X, Gallantmon X, and Jessmon X, although interestingly, Examon X is also on this list, but does not appear to be part of the DLC. Then we have Omnimon Merciful Mode, Alter S, Alter B, Blitz Greymon, Kreska Rurumon, Bancho Stingmon, Bancho Lilymon, Bancho Golemon, Bancho Mamemon, all of which are showing up in the DLC, but Parallelmon and Zwart Defeat are not on this Datamine, so those are also Digimon that are going to be in the game. What this basically tells us is that technically, most of these Digimon are cut or removed. There is data in the game for them, but as some of them are basically confirmed to be DLC Digimon, never say never. Ukomon is also on this list. Ukomon is a legendary card in the game, and there does appear to be a slot for Ukomon in the 16 slots we have spare between Gabumon Bond of Friendship and Agumon Black. But as I've said before, there's nothing stopping Digimon being added to the game that get field guide numbers after the current end of the list. So it's not impossible that Digimon like Sequoiamon Miko Mode, Volt Boutmon, the Algamons, etc. show up in the game in future. And indeed, we even have Examon X here, who doesn't seem to be included in the X Antibody DLC pack, but was in the game. There's also some Digimon that are technically cut from this game, I guess you could say, or didn't carry forward from Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, and the list is tiny. It's literally just Hoodymon, the Systemons, and the Arcadiamon evolution line. Obviously, I've talked about Hoodymon and the Systemon seemingly being in the code of the game, but the Arcadiamon line being cut makes even less sense to me. There's a ton of V-Tamer representation in this game with Callismon and the upcoming Parallelmon, like I say, so it's definitely not going to be a legality issue with V-Tamer, and Arcadia is an idealistic utopia in Greek mythology. Arcadiamon would have been perfect for this game. Again, I do wonder if there's just been too many virus Digimon in this game, but why couldn't it have been recruitable, you know? You don't even have to include Arcadiamon Baby if you don't want to, but I feel like it would have been at least an easy outer dungeon to do or something, you know, where you can go and scan and convert Arcadiamon Baby to evolve through. And also there's the NX Digimon from Cyber Sleuth, the originally pre-order or DLC bonus that are just in the complete edition. I don't think I've seen any single person wishing the NX Digimon would come back, but they technically could have. You could have just, I guess, put the models across, although basically all the models were done from scratch, or at least completely overhauled for Time Strangers, so I don't personally miss the NX Digimon, but I guess you could count them as cut content from Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory as they didn't transfer over. But that is it. Every cut, removed, or abandoned Digimon from the previous installment in the story series. Let me know which Digimon in this list you most want to see come back in DLC or a future update. I personally am so sad about all the Digimon that were in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory that didn't come through, but also I would love, of course, to see more Armor Digimon in this game. Thank you to my Fang Longmon Golden God, Lupus Lichlord, and my Sovereign, ZDK14, Chaotic Prophet, and Jeremy Babino, as well as everyone else who supports me over on patreon.com/Karn EX, and my YouTube channel members here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time when we go digital. Bye bye.